So much light, daylight, all the time. And on sunny days, it almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace?
It was a factory. I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why go to work there?
I was 15. It was time I paid my own way.
Pay your own way? What about school?
Oh, I didn't miss it so much. The girls were all so nice, and the work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work, really. It was more like art, painting those dials. We were artists.
I'm not really the one you should be talking to. Von Sashaki, he's who you should talk to.
Now, Arthur, you know he won't want to talk to us.
It was his process.
Tell me about that process, Arthur. You used the powder.
We used a powder. The girls mixed it with an adhesive to make the paint. And that business with the brushes, I did not invent that. They were doing that when I got here.
But you knew about it.
We all knew about it. We just never realized what it really meant.
Irene?
In here.
Irene, what are you doing?
Amalia's working inspection today.
Is that bad?
Not for us.
She's gonna be sitting in this room all day by herself in the dark checking dials.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
So we're gonna give her a little surprise.
Boo! Like the Cheshire cat.
Won't that make her mad?
Oh, let her get mad.
That's half the
I
fun.
don't want to make her mad.
Oh, Grace, do you have to be that way about everything?
What way?
Oh, your teeth, Grace. Put some on your teeth.
Ain't like Amalia don't deserve it. She paints more dials than any girl on the floor. Can't be bothered to talk to nobody either. You say, Amalia, what's new? She just looks at you funny.
I don't think she can speak much English.
It wouldn't kill her to smile, would it?
She's coming.
Get the light.
And this way to the inspection room.
Boo! Oops.
Mrs. McNeil.
Painting your faces? Have you gone off your minds?
It was just a joke.
Just a joke? A joke like that can lose a girl her job.
Now, Mrs. McNeil, I'm sure that's not necessary.
I don't tolerate no foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very good. Foolishness we don't want, do we? Mr. Reader, this is the inspection room. All of the dials come here that are painted. And here are some of the girls who should on the floor be working. Girls, this is Mr. Reader, my new vice president, and your new plant manager.
And I was just telling Mr. Reader what a fine bunch of girls we have here. I'm sure now he must think I'm halfway out of my mind.
Mr. Reader, perhaps you have some words for the girls. Mrs. McNeil?
Well, girls, this paint you've been playing with, it's very expensive. You do realize this. It takes several tons of ore to produce a single gram of radium. That's a lot of hard work. Hard work for the men in the extraction plant. But they do this work gladly. You understand why. Why they work so hard, what we are all working towards.
The war.
That's right, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys in the field depend on them. To read them in the dark, no mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of those boys won't be coming home. So if you play around and don't take the work seriously, well, you're playing into the hands of the Kaiser. And we don't want that, do we?
No.
Let's get back to work now and leave the tomfoolery to home.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reader, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I won't do nothing like that ever again.
Well, dear, just keep this in mind. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Racket. The New York Racket's only girl reporter.
Jack Youngwood for the Newark Ledger, Newark's first source for news.
Eminent French scientist Madame Marie Curie embarked on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science is headed to Washington to receive a gift of 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased for her by the Marie Curie Radium Club, the association of 100,000 American women.
Who each gave $1 in support of humanitarian research with radium.
Grace, over here.
Irene, look, I got my certificate, Marie Curie Radium Club.
You gave $1?
It's all for science.
Science, what about my room and board?
Oh, look, there she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. I must ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, please limit your questions. Madame Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country and is under strict doctor's orders to rest. Although, in the typical fashion of a scientist who can only think of her research, her life's work, she has refused to rest.
Madame Curie, what will you do with the radium? What will you do with the radium?
I will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium a cure for all cancer?
Cure for the cancer? Yes, cure for the cancer. That is so. It has already cured all kinds of the cancer.
But some doctors dispute that.
Then they do not understand the method. There is no question. Radium will cure the cancer.
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie, how have you managed to devote yourself both to science and to your children?
It has not been easy. But my daughters share my gratitude to the American women for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madame Curie.
Madame Curie,
Madame
no
Curie.
more questions. Madame Curie is on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent a car and will escort Dr. Curie personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Harding will present the gift of 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? That is a marketing opportunity. Let's send her one of our customers' watches, courtesy U.S. Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous watches, luminous clocks. Anyone who considers that those are just novelties, think of all the inventions of the past 50 years. The electric light, the telegraph,
The telephone.
the automobile. Inventions all once dismissed as novelties, as toys.
Are now essentials to modern life. Got it. That ought to sell some watches.
Watches, absolutely, but that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You heard the lady. It's the medical market.
And Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because Von Sashaki lets them take it. But if we wanted to, we could take half their business. It's just a matter of position.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal, sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly that the doctors would respect.
A bibliography listing every article ever published on radium.
With capsule reports to save the doctors time, they get the information, find it fast.
And have us to thank for it.
Send it to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. It's the wave of the future. It's not just the product. It's how you promote it.
Filled with flowers, lilies and carnations and orchids. You know how Amalia loved orchids.
They weren't orchids.
They were orchids, Irene.
Flags.
Orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. Purple orchids. Oh, and that smell, Grace, that smell. What was that smell? It was like
Flowers.
No, it was like heaven. I was going to say it was like heaven.
Like heaven. Catherine, it was a funeral. You make it out like it was some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral. It was Amalia's, and it was beautiful. Oh, Grace, you should have seen it. The church was like the botanical gardens. The company said a big spray of flowers, too. Carnations.
Mums.
Those were carnations.
Those were mums.
Well, it sounds like it was a nice service anyhow.
Girls. Girls! The whistle's already gone. Now then, I've received new instructions this day. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. We was losing too much paint in the cloths.
But
Yes, Grace? Something you wish to say?
Dr. Von Sashaki told me not to do that. He said it was unsanitary.
Unsanitary? Well, I can't hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've done this as long as I've been here. You must have misunderstood him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not to get new brushes until you've done with the old. And they gotta be so bad, they can't get a point no more.
You can't make quota like that.
Well, you'll do your best then, since I have my instructions.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking the questions, is it? It's for us to do the work.
I have my instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's an instruction for you, McNeil. Let some of the starch out of your corset.
Was she at the service?
McNeil, are you kidding? You think she'd cross the street for her own mother?
Most everybody else was, though. You was about the only girl from the floor who wasn't there.
I wanted to come, but Ma was working and I had to watch the little ones.
Could have brought him.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I would have tried to get there.
Just lay off. Grace feels bad as it is.
Were many of the fellas there?
Oh, yeah, lots of fellas from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the front office, Dr. Von Sashaki was there, and Mr. Reeder.
And he left early.
So he was there all the same. Oh, and Grace. You know that fella from Crystallizing? What's his name? The one with the red hair. You know who I mean?
Oh, the tall fellow with the freckles?
That's the one who snaps his fingers all the time.
George.
Jerry.
I think it's George.
It's Jerry. Jerry Mallon. He's the one who's always talking to Amalia in the day room.
That's right. Oh, and Grace, when the mass was over, he goes over to the coffin, and like this he goes.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Oh, for pity's sake.
Well, he did. Nobody could believe it.
So what if he did?
So what? He was in love with her. That's so what? Don't you think so, Grace?
I guess he had to be if he did something like that.
And can you imagine if he loved her and he never told her, never could bring himself to say because, well, she was so beautiful and he was so shy and now it's too late. It's too late. Their love is forever thwarted. He never told her and he'll never get a chance ever again.
Poor Amalia.
Poor Amalia.
Poor kid.
Her family took it awful bad, Grace. Albina, Kinta, every one of them crying. Even her father, I never saw a man crying, not like that, just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too.
Because their daughter had died.
No, what she died from.
Irene, don't go spreading stories.
It's not a story. Albina told us no reason Grace shouldn't know, too.
Know what? Know what? Amalia?
Ain't it awful? Albina said her father's fit to be tied, too. 6 girls at home, and ain't none of them ever going to a dance again.
All because Amalia Upton died from syphilis. Shh. I can't help it if it's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
Guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong.
Come on.
Doctors are wrong sometimes. He could have got it wrong.
That's true. Doctor was wrong about Aunt Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with it?
Irene, don't you remember? Up to the day she died, doctor said Aunt Ivy would be fine. Said, take a cup of tea, get a good night's rest, and 2 days later we was taking her to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, your attention, please. The gentlemen are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mrs. McNeil. Girls, we are here to put a few rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, yeah?
Yes. As some of you may have heard by now, Dr. Von Sashaki will be stepping down, and he would like to take this opportunity
To make us goodbye, and Mr. Reeder has kindly consented. Some of you I have known since you were little girls, coming here during the war, working so hard, day after day at the bench. 200, 300, some of you even 500 dials a day. So excited to be a part of our work here. When this company, in my own kitchen I start, mixing up the paints, I knew I found something miraculous to make life better, easier. And now, what do I read? More and more uses as if it was a radium. More than I ever could have dreamed.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the doctor is a very busy man and must be on his way, so let's wish him the best of luck in his new business ventures. Very good. Then, girls.
And Mr. Reeder, let us good luck wish to you also. To the plate he steps as your new company president.
Thank you.
When Mr. Reeder came 4 years ago to us, I saw in him a young man of great enterprise.
Yes, thank you.
And great ambition.
Thank you.
Little did I guess the direction which this ambition would take. But that is one of the things that makes this country great. The opportunities that it presents to a man and to his friends.
And so, girls.
And so, ladies, let us wish Mr. Reeder the best of luck in the new direction which he intends for the company to take.
New direction?
With the slowdown in dial painting
now,
and business
Doctor.
moving to the medical market, there's going to be lots of changes, yeah?
What the doctor is referring to, some of our larger clients are setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
Yes, in the short run, things may be a little slower around here. However, the Waterbury Clock Company up in Connecticut needs help setting up its studio. We were intending to make an announcement next week. I guess we'll make it now. This is McNeil.
Well, we'll be asking some of you girls to go on up there.
Now, this work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. You had some girls in mind?
Louise Conlin was one, Sarah Deutsch, Lena McCarthy, and Catherine Schob. I have the entire list downstairs. I'll post it today.
Very good. Now, ladies, as we are all on the clock, we'll leave you to your work.
Thank you, ladies. My best wishes to all of you.
That's back to work with you girls.
So, are you going to do it? Are you going to take the job, Catherine?
I don't know, Grace, would you? Would you go to Connecticut?
I don't know. It's awful far from home. Tommy would have a fit.
Oh, come on, Grace. Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be fun, Irene? Irene?
Irene? Honey, you all right?
Huh? Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I be all right? What?
Your mouth is bleeding.
$35 a week, and she quits the place.
More life than money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom, but you and Grace get to be my age with a house full of your kids underfoot. You'll thank God for every penny you put by.
We got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married on.
Don't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
You let us get married, and we'll find out.
Are you still eating, Tommy?
It's good.
You're going to get fat.
He's got to keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Don't start, Ma.
I didn't say nothing. It's your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face, Tom, when he heard Grace wasn't working no more. Most girls will give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good money, easy pay, nice-looking fellas around the plant.
You didn't tell me about them, Grace.
Wasn't that many of them. Hardly seemed worth the mention.
And yet she leaves it all behind for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck, I says. Who needs a paycheck, she says. I got me a boyfriend to take me out Saturdays.
Oh, she said that.
No, you know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. I started the bank on Monday.
Oh, yeah, the bank. And how much does it pay?
Enough.
Enough. Always enough. You know what that means, Tom. Don't come close to what it pays up at the Radium plant.
It's office work.
Office work. Well, I guess that means you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
Boy, she's really steamed at you.
I don't see what difference it makes, so long as I'm working somewhere.
Don't make no difference to me. I just thought you liked it up there.
Sure, I liked it. I worked there 4 years.
So, I've been delivering mail almost 8 years. Plan to keep on delivering it another 20, 30 years. If I'm lucky. Nothing like steady work and a good pension to help you sleep at night.
I don't have a pension and I sleep just fine.
Oh, I bet you do. Ow. So, how come you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. And ever since Irene left, work just wasn't as much fun. And wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend that works at a bank?
Not as much as I'd like to have a wife who don't work anywhere.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise for you.
Yeah? Want me to pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise. Close your eyes. Okay, now look.
Wallpaper.
For the baby's room.
Baby's room? You won't even kiss me, and you're talking about babies?
There's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Well, sure, Grace, but you know, most girls, they get married before they decorate the nursery.
Plan ahead for once. Pick one.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has big flowers and this one has little flowers. So pick one.
Is this some kind of test?
No, it's just wallpaper.
This is some kind of test.
Pick one, Tommy.
That one.
Really?
This one, then.
It is pretty, don't you think?
They're both nice.
But I want you to like it too.
If you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper is wallpaper.
No, it isn't. You gotta pick something you can stand to look at for 20 years.
Same way you pick women?
Oh, keep it up, smarty pants, and you'll never get that kiss.
Okay. This one, hands down.
I like it too. A nice neutral yellow can go with either a boy or a girl. And until the baby comes, we can use the room for other things.
Yeah? Like what?
Like a painting studio, maybe?
A painting studio, maybe. Didn't you get enough of painting at work?
Not the kind I wanted to do, Tommy. I used to paint watercolors, but ever since I went to work, I just don't have no time. What with watching the kids and helping Ma. Once we get married, I just want some time, just a little time to myself, so I can do watercolors. Or oils, maybe portraits in oil. I could paint your picture if you like.
Sure. Why not? Paint a big picture of me and we'll hang it out in the outhouse. All our friends will come around just to use the can so they can look at me.
The way you talk sometimes.
Oh, Grace, you want to paint pictures? Paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop you.
You say that now, Tommy, but once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Sure. I'll be whistling Dixie.
Why do you come home some night, some Christmas maybe, when every customer on your routes had 3 times the mail? Oh, and some dog took after you, and some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop, telling you all about her grandchildren. And you wouldn't have the heart to tell her you can't talk. I know you. So you come home all late and hungry wanting your dinner. And there I am, set up in the kitchen with my easel and a drop cloth on the floor, and my paints all over the table, and your dinner nowhere in sight. What would you say then?
Better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you say. Where's my dinner?
Well, sure. But I'd still admire the painting. Just want to look at it on a full stomach is all. So how'd I do? Pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go look at stripes.
Oh, stripes, polka dots, I don't care. Let's just get married, Grace. You're plenty old enough. Just tell your mom we ain't waiting no more. We'll just run off.
Tommy, we are not running off. We're going to do this right. A nice church wedding with flowers and music, and then a week at the seashore, just us. And after that, we'll get set up in our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Your mouth hurt you?
Yeah, the dentist wants to pull another tooth in the back.
Well, what's a tooth?
Hazel Cuser. Any connections to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here?
Left 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the Maja girl.
I wouldn't include her.
Why? She worked here.
She also worked other places, and what she died from, you cannot pick up here. At least I don't think you can.
That's not funny, Charlie. Besides, that's just idle talk.
In my experience, there's usually something to idle talk when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians, the conditions they live in, 10, 12 people in 3 rooms. It is a wonder they don't all die of one infection or another.
3 then. And how many dead?
Only Miss Maja. But I haven't heard from her people.
It's too late for them anyway. The statute of limitations is 2 years. But Miss Cuser is another story. She's in a position to make a lot of trouble now.
In all the time I've worked here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. And now this.
We're talking about 4 girls. Out of how many hundreds that we've employed?
600, 700 over the years.
And some of them were sick when they got here. One girl you hired was a complete cripple. Couldn't even climb the stairs. Her father carried her up to the studio every morning.
Didn't make any difference to me how she got up those stairs. She was a fast worker and a sweet girl.
But she was in poor health.
She needed the work, Charlie.
Arthur. Charlie.
And not just for the money. To feel productive, to have a purpose. That's what work does, Charlie. It gives us a purpose. I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider that policy.
Let's see what Dr. Drinker has to say.
Dr. Drinker.
Some professor at the Harvard School of Industrial Hygiene.
He chairs the department, and he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit? Hiring him.
We've had 6 girls quit this week. Mrs. McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
It's never been like this. These girls are terrified. We've got to do something.
Letting Drinker examine them? That sounds to me like a recipe for mass hysteria.
We'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward?
Companies give physicals all the time.
Great. Then Drinkle will start next month.
And in the meantime, I recommend we make an offer to Miss Cuser.
Settle?
There is no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity that it brings. And neither will your investors.
You think this will affect the stock offering?
Don't you?
Great. We'll open at 30 and close at 10.
Or not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, that'll keep her quiet?
It would be a condition of the settlement.
Maybe we better do it.
Suppose this lawyer has a racket going. He's finding sick girls and convincing them into making suits. And we'd be rewarding him for his larceny.
Unless Miss Kuzer genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said. She comes from a large immigrant family, not well educated, not a lot of resources.
A few $100s would make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sound of that letter, she doesn't have long to live anyway.
So it would be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
So, what do you think we should offer?
March 24th, 1924. Jack Young reporting for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic, the Graphic's only girl reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies suggest a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water offers miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients reported a significant abatement in their symptoms.
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels of the Bronx tells us how radium water transformed her life.
My pain got so bad I couldn't hardly bend over.
While others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave woman could not even bend down to kiss her little ones goodnight.
And I got 3, let me tell you. They are a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner at Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary at best.
Your recommendations, Dr. Martland?
I advise further study. Yes, further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Radithor.
They said it would help my rheumatism, so I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample is questionably small.
Well, first off, it felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that powerful. Now I drink a bottle a week just to maintain my health. I hang laundry and scrub the kitchen floor, same way I always done.
Dr. William J. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radithor, reports a strong demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey of Orange announces sales of Radithor exceed 100,000 cases worldwide.
Radioactivity is one of the greatest agents in medical science. I drink Radithor myself, and I can vouch for its power.
A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was a picture of lethargy before I discovered the amazing, vitalizing powers of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50, but I have the energy of a man in his 30s.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
Well, thanks.
A testament to the tonic's potency?
Or to the seller's creativity?
Radithor! It is perpetual sunshine.
And its perpetual money machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
Don't need no appointment.
Catherine, it's a busy place. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you should make one.
I shouldn't need no appointment for this.
I'm sorry, I don't find anything under show.
No, it's under Rudolph.
Rudolph?
Irene Rudolph, the girl I'm asking about.
Did she file the complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist?
Dr. Neff, Irene's dentist. He said she might have Fossey jaw, and he was going to complain to the health department about it, but when I asked him, he said he hadn't heard nothing, and it's been more than 6 months now.
Fossey jaw, you say?
Yes!
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said, a blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. What was it from?
From dirt. You get infections from dirt.
From dirt? Her face puffed up like a pumpkin. Her jaw rotted so bad she could hardly eat nothing. You think you get something like that from a little dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everyone it's radium in that paint, but it's really phosphorus that makes it glow.
Oh, honestly, Catherine, you can't really believe that.
You saw her, Grace.
Catherine, if it was like it said, they'd have never let you work up there in the first place.
Sure, they'd have shut the place down.
Shut it down? Who? Who's gonna shut it down?
I don't know, the county?
Honestly, Grace, you are such a ninny.
Hey.
How are they gonna shut it down if they don't even know about it? Ever think of that?
Now, come on.
All right, Tommy.
No, she's got no business talking to you that way.
She's just upset.
Upset? She's gone around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water now. Next it'll be they're kidnapping babies and using them to stoke the furnace.
Go ahead and laugh. You won't laugh so hard when it's you coming in 6 months from now asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Catherine, it's just a toothache.
Yeah? That's how it started for Irene. Just a toothache. You wait, Grace. You wait. You'll wake up one morning, your gum's hurting so bad you won't be able to open your mouth.
Stop it,
so weak
Catherine.
and sick you won't be able to stand up. The pain's so bad you won't be able to sleep, and your face so swollen you won't be able to stand the sight of yourself.
I said stop it. Grace is fine. Right, Gracie?
Irene Rudolph?
That's it.
And she worked at the Radium plant?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing.
Huh?
The company is in full compliance with all state health and labor regulations. They ordered an analysis of the paint.
Let me see that.
Miss, really?
Who's Miss Young?
That's the health officer. Miss...
Paint is a harmless compound of radium and zinc.
As I was saying, the analysis showed there's no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There. You see, Catherine?
Miss Young toured the plant herself. She found nothing amiss. I'm sorry.
Well, guess we can get some lunch then.
I'm going to file another complaint.
They already did an investigation.
I want to file another complaint.
Oh, brother.
Catherine, these folks here, they're busy.
I want to file another complaint.
I just don't see what good this is going to do, to make such a fuss this way.
Grace! 3 surgeries, and they wanted to cut her again. She finally said no. She knew. What was left of her jaw rotted so bad the smell was terrible. And Grace, the worst of it is, I couldn't look at her. Irene was so afraid of being alone, but I left her alone. When she died, it was the middle of the night, and nobody was there with her.
I'm sorry. Can I have another form? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint? Is the girl still sick?
No, she died.
Wait right here.
Harriet! Harriet, you'll come down from that tree at once.
I'm waiting for Papa.
Fine, when he gets here, I'll send him up after you.
There he is. Papa.
Harriet!
Harriet, come down at once.
Papa, I can see Cleveland Church.
Can you? Do you see your grandfather?
No, but I can see the schoolhouse.
You think this is funny?
She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
I tell you what, if she's no one to shout to, she won't shout.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diane.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
Time is on your side. In another year or two, she'll lose all interest in trees and develop a fascination with boys.
That's supposed to scare me.
And when that day comes, you'll be frantic, because she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
Something to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what it says on the bottle.
Is it pure?
For his supplier. You want to try it?
It'll give me vitality. How can I refuse? Your father came by to see me today.
Another hard luck case?
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Wife in the hospital with cancer.
Yes?
And the husband's been laid off from, let's see, the brickyard.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad was around to see me yesterday. It's never enough with him, just to have ordinary ambitions. You have to have a mission in life.
And you do.
No, I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you wouldn't help this man if you could.
If I could, I would. But I can't give him a job that doesn't exist if that's what you're asking.
Well, what about Dan Lehman?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help.
Dan needs trained technicians, not a bricklayer. Why don't you send him to Mrs. Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
Yes, the club takes an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either, which is why I thought you could help him.
Oh, you do love being married to the company president.
It has its advantages.
Ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
I got my shoes shined this morning, and while I sat there and I watched the boy work, I thought to myself, this is quite the enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks out. No inventory, no warehouse, no health inspectors, no stock price.
And you'll trade it all in for your own shoe shine stand?
Fewer headaches that way.
So you're in one of those moods again. What's it this time? It can't be the market. It went up today.
Oh, so now you're reading the financial pages?
I have to entertain myself somehow. So what's the matter? You're being very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
You can tell me you know.
Nothing to tell, really. This is going to be our best year ever.
So it's the prospect of success that you find so disheartening.
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
Your bricklayer.
Artie, he needs a job, not charity. What's it your father always says? A working man needs to work. It
wears on his soul not to work. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, that's different. All right, I'll have him talk to Dan.
Artie.
But I make no promises, Diane.
No promises.
To your health.
So, how long have you had this drainage?
A week or two. I heard something awful, Dr. Neff.
Anything else bothering you?
Back to.
You're back now. You seen your regular doctor about this?
He said it's nerves.
Nerves?
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no case of nerves. Hope you told him that.
What do you think?
I think you better schedule that surgery.
Couldn't we put it off a little? Just until after my wedding.
You don't have that surgery, you won't have no wedding.
Huh?
Miss Fryer, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone is decaying. That black pus oozing out of your gums, it's the bone itself.
That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation, from Dr. Cecil Drinker, Harvard University. Enclosed is our report.
Finally!
We believe the trouble in your plant is due to the radium.
Radium?
It can't be as bad as all that.
This can't be.
You put this off and you will develop a septic condition. It could prove fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds.
Everything I've got, I've saved for my wedding.
Photographic films carried by employees show heavy fogging.
Well, I got a suggestion for you.
And we suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant.
Go to the radium plant. Explain your situation.
Go to the company?
We realize no further proof can be offered at present.
Once they see what kind of shape you're in.
This is impossible.
They gotta feel obligated to help you out.
But in view of the material in our literature...
It's a mistake.
And the facts disclosed by our investigation...
I don't see how they could refuse.
We recommend immediate and drastic remedial action.
Look, I'll write to them for you. They can work through me. Just pay my bills directly. That's all I ask.
You think they do that?
Charlie!
They got a moral obligation. What'd you say?
I guess so.
All right, we'll get started. I'll grab some paper.
He has to be wrong. That's all. He's wrong. Charlie, he has to be wrong.
He must have overlooked something.
If we're suffering from a new ailment caused by the radium, it should occur generally throughout the plant.
One would expect.
Several hundred milligrams are in solution at all times in the big vats. Several hundred in ore, several hundred in crystallizing.
The entire backyard is filled with tailings.
Radium is present in good amounts all over the property.
If it's the radium, then the incidence of illness should be highest in the laboratory.
And no one there is sick.
Then perhaps it's some combination of the radium with the zinc.
Or something peculiar to our plant alone.
Some sort of bacteria, perhaps, in the brushes?
It can't be the radium. There are dozens of application plants across the country, and none have ever reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What are we going to do? How do we answer them? This tears us to pieces.
They want to see the report. We send them this.
One page?
The most important page.
Dr. Drinker will never stand for this.
Drinker works for us. That is a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
The Department of Labor, Arthur.
We just need a little time, Charlie. Just a little time.
They could shut us down for this.
Scientists, government men, they have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Sashaki laughed at the very idea of promotion. He thought advertising was a dirty word. I can't tell you how many times I walked into that man's office and he turned a blind eye to everything I told him. But we showed him, Charlie. We showed him. Look at us. We are the world's largest single supplier of radium, the largest in the world. You know what it took for us to get here. Do you think I'm going to stand idly by and let our good name be dragged through the mud? Trust me, Charlie.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear, not at all.
I told the surgeon he was coming over here, so he gave me the results of my blood work.
Excellent.
And so?
I must say, Miss Fryer, your blood looks better than mine.
It does?
That's what happens to an old man who smokes. Now tell me, what else is troubling you?
My feet and my back, mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
So I see. And did this happen before you left the company or after?
After I left. Dr. Neff said this all has to do with the radium plant. I know another girl from the plant who died from it, Irene Rudolph.
Oh, yes. Terrible thing. Vincent's angina.
What's that?
That's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
Oh, from the radium.
Oh, no, no, no. An unfortunate and rare result of poor dental care. So let this be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
There was something else in the paper about this. About other girls who got sick. One girl I worked with for a while, she's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. They've never seen anything like it. And
Miss Fryer, please don't tell me you pay attention to the papers. Those stories are not scientific.
But it said that.
Reporters are not scientific. They do not follow scientific methods. They write to sell, not to educate. The scientist is not concerned with what sells. He is concerned with the truth. He undergoes years of painstaking study to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural processes that most people can never presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense that is printed in the newspapers, because I can tell you one thing, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
It doesn't?
Not in the least.
Then what is ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer, poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You must eat more fresh fruit.
Hard to do in the winter.
And raw meat as well. That will help with the anemia. Raw calf's liver particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at minimum.
Oh,
No, 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 Miss Fryer. I'm a scientist, and I take a purely scientific interest in this situation. By allowing me to examine you, you're helping me advance my own studies. I thank you. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn, thank you.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, physiology, Columbia University. PhD. That's not a real doctor.
My findings, Mr. Reader.
He's seen half a dozen girls used to work at the plant. Word I hear, he's working for the company.
An objective evaluation, I trust.
The source of my funding has no bearing on my research.
And I let that fella examine me.
Never examined her, per se. It's not a medical examination, per se.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer her some helpful advice.
I did my best for her.
Every girl he sees, it's the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood is better than mine, he says.
And how are you doing on the rest of the report?
The animal studies I've conducted reveal no adverse effects from radium. The problem, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I can't believe somebody would do that. Straight out lie to you like that.
Nothing surprises me.
It's exactly the way you said, Catherine. Those people will say anything. They'll do anything.
Except the right thing.
Well, we're going to make them, Catherine. We're going to make sure somebody hears about this.
I am most grateful, Dr. Flynn. But I am particularly grateful to hear that the young lady you examined is doing so much better.
Didn't examine her, no, no, no. I merely consulted with her.
Nevertheless, she is doing much better, isn't she?
From what I can see, Mr. Reader, she appears to be on the road to recovery.
Excellent.
Here's my statement of fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you the check.
And so, I leave you now with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who would wish to profit off of our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley, and thanks to the New Jersey Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for this evening. I don't think we'll have time for questions, but we hope you will join us next door for some light refreshments. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
You want anything?
My throat's a little dry.
Can I help you, miss?
Oh, I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a member of the Women's Club.
No, ma'am, but...
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am, but Miss
Well,
Wiley...
then I'm sure Miss Wiley would be happy to see you during her regular business hours.
I'm not leaving till I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Mrs. Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Fryer?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department said I should see you. I know I should have stopped by your office, but I missed a lot of work lately, and I didn't want to miss no more.
No need to apologize. I'd been meaning to call on you myself. Please, take a seat.
Me and Catherine, we wrote to the company about our troubles, but we never heard nothing. So then we went to see a couple lawyers, but they all said that they can't do anything because it's been so long since we left the Radium plant. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right. And one lawyer, he said he'd try to sue anyhow, only he wants $1,000 up front. I already spent everything I saved on my wedding on doctors and dentists and hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong exactly. And Tom, that's my fella, he says he don't care. He wants to get married anyhow, but I just wonder, what good would I do him like this? Miss Wiley, if I could just get some compensation, I could settle my debts, and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I was saddling Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry to rattle on at you about these things. I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department, she said that the Consumers League has, what did she say? A clout?
I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
So can you help us?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find you a lawyer, someone who's willing to take your case on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay him unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now, suppose the company says, here's some money for you, Miss Fryer. Only you are to tell no one of what we've agreed to. You are to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes.
That don't seem right.
It isn't right, but it's what they'll try to do. They'll try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No. No, ma'am, it isn't.
Good.
So, you'll help us?
I think I can help you. If you're willing to take some chances.
Chances?
Miss Fryer, if you'd be willing to put aside your own need, just for a moment, we could put a stop to this company. We could stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I have to do?
We start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1? You want her to talk to the newspaper?
Not just one newspaper, many, many newspapers.
Is that really necessary? I mean, all we want is for Grace to get our compensation.
Tommy, let her finish.
I understand your concerns, but This company has already shown they're willing to go to extremes to protect themselves. No, I'm afraid the only way we can get to them is to hit them where it matters most, their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how you were sorely treated, how you've suffered, how the company denied all responsibility, believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley.
I know. It's a little frightening.
It's okay. Right now, I'm more angry than I am scared.
Good. You hang on to that anger. You're going to need it. Only, don't let anyone else see it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer. That is our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927, Jack Youngwood reporting for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
On the strange case of the Radium girls.
Who claimed they were poisoned at the hands of their employer.
And now seek their day in court.
$250,000.
That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000. If you ask me, it's all a sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working? Sure.
Doctors say the girls only have 1 year to live.
Only 1 year to live and $250,000 to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do to use your last suffering days on earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I would buy a wardrobe like Irene Castle's.
I'd give it all to charity.
Then I'd travel around the world, first class, with all my friends.
I'd play the stock market.
I'd buy my wife a fur coat and a diamond the size of New Hampshire.
I'd use it to pay my medical bills and pay off the second mortgage on our house, the one my father took out to pay for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this entire ordeal.
struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirits.
For the sake of her family and her friends.
It hurts to smile, but I try to smile. I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Grace, how does it feel knowing you have so little time left?
I try not to think about it too much.
But it must get to you sometimes.
Knowing what you've been through.
And the company's getting fat off your labor.
And all they have to say about it is...
No comment.
Don't you just want to punch somebody?
Oh, no. That won't do no good. I'd rather just think about how it's going to be when justice prevails. Then I can do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in life as nobly as this young woman.
Ms. Barry, I must object to this kind of histrionics.
I had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
I've been in this game a long time, Ms. Barry. When I see a story like this move over the wires, I'm not so naive as to believe that a plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's wages.
We think it's very generous considering your case won't survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury, your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Oh, very creative, Miss Barry. Very clever. I must admire your imagination. But you've got a ways to go before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take a great interest in this story and in the company's complete indifference towards its workers.
No doubt that'll be good press for the Consumers League. Can you accuse us of exploiting these girls?
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know full well that the law never anticipated a case like this. The
These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or should I say if, this case goes to trial? I only hope that's your opening statement, Miss Barry. You'll have made our defense. See you at the hearing.
The arrogance of that man. Tell me again the purpose of these articles, Miss Wiley. Public sympathy, Miss Barry. It's the engine of reform. You are antagonizing the company. Then the strategy is working. And what about the girls? How does it help them to read in a dozen different newspapers that they have so little time left to live? Surely you can see, Miss Barry. The U.S. Radium Corporation
cares nothing about the girls it's poisoned. But the average housewife in Orange cares very deeply, and so do millions of other women across the country. These women shop. They buy watches. Mark Lee can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome, and he knows it. That's why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Miss Barry. Wait and see.
Dear Miss Shobe, I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe and am so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement, the well-being of the average worker is overlooked. I would like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It's called Christian Science.
Dear Miss Fryer, I read of your woeful situation in the Atlantic Constitution, and I'm prepared to offer you a solution. Venacine, a wonder tonic made from all natural ingredients. Venacine will restore your health and vitality. We are prepared to offer you girls a lifetime supply of Venacine in exchange for the exclusive rights to use your photos in our advertisements.
Dear girl, I read about you in the Bing Gazette. I run 100 head of cattle up in here and do very well by myself. I've always longed for a companion and very well equipped to offer you a comfortable home in your final hours. A girl like you has suffered through so much. Don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Enclosed is my picture.
Look, Catherine, this man actually sent a picture. Catherine?
Bleeding again.
Shall I get the nurse?
I did this before. It'll stop.
Maybe I should go.
No, don't go.
Don't you need to sleep?
Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, might not wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if it don't go so good. Sometimes you don't come out of it so good. My mother's cousin, she went in for her appendix and she didn't come home again.
Well, you just can't think that way, that's all. Look at this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. Oh, here's from California.
But what if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose his house. We'll be on the street. You'll be on the street, too, and you and Tom, you won't never get married. How can you stand it, Grace? How can Tom stand it?
Catherine.
I don't ever hear him complaining. Don't you ever wonder, Grace?
Catherine, once the judge hears our testimony, he's going to rule for us. All they got to do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
Think so?
Sure. I mean, once they see what kind of shape we're in, we'd be awful hard to ignore, don't you think?
That'll be something then, won't it? To see the look on Mr. Reader's face when we get on the stand.
Now, you want to read some more letters?
Didn't have no vanilla, so I got some chocolate.
It took you long enough.
Don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me on the way over here. All of them reporters and all of them asking after you.
Waiting for me to die.
No one is waiting for you to die.
It's true. One of them called my house asking if I had died, and when my mother said no, he sounded disappointed.
Try to eat some of this. It'll make you feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Michael, what are you doing?
We need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000. That's what. Huh, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
Who that? Faith healer?
Herbalist, Mr. Kreider. Herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just the thing to get these girls back on their feet. And the graphic will pay for it. All we ask is for the exclusive rights to your story from here on out. See for yourself.
You want to pay us to go see this Bernard McFadden guy?
Easy money, huh?
Let me see that.
They're serious, Grace.
The graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
Grace, what does your father owe in the house?
I don't know exactly.
And that last hospital bill, that was a couple hundred at least.
At least.
Maybe we should think about this.
And all we do is talk to this herbalist fella?
Of course, we'll have to get our money's worth. A regular series of features with pictures following your course of treatment, illness, recovery, or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you just print whatever you want?
Maybe we add some color. Everybody adds color.
Don't sound so bad.
Maybe we should talk to Miss Wiley about it.
Miss Wiley, what's it to her? You're the one with bills to pay.
It wouldn't be right to do something like this without talking to Miss Wiley.
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
You'd take it if it came from the company.
The company owes us a lot more than that.
If you ever see it.
Grace, maybe we should do it.
I just don't seem right.
You're going to talk to the reporters anyhow. Why not get something out of it?
He's right, you know. Why give your story away when people are crazy to read it? Believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran that feature on you, bang! Sold out every copy at every newsstand. Everybody can sympathize with the plight of some poor, sick girls facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment in motherhood.
I'd like you to go now. My friend is tired and she needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure, think it over. I understand. You're worried about what people will think. But hey, you gotta look out for your own interests here. There's no reason you shouldn't get something out of all this. Look out for number one, that's the way. Everyone else is out to get what they can, for sure. So, why should you sit back and keep your nose clean when everyone else is up to their elbows in it?
Gentlemen, I have examined a number of the girls who claim that they have worked here. One of them, the girl's jaw rotted so bad, I managed to remove the bone just by lifting it out of her mouth. As you can see.
That's all right, Dr. Neff. You can put that away.
Very well. Perhaps you would rather look at it on the x-ray. This was an expensive case to treat, and I never did get no compensation. The girl died, and her family never paid.
I sympathize, Dr. Neff. What has that got to do with us?
Well, here it is straight. You're going to have a lot more girls coming in claiming that they got sick here. Maybe you and I can do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That sort of thing.
I'm not following you.
Let's say that you were to give me a list of the girls who worked here. I'd see to it that there'd be no more lawsuits.
You think that you could cure them?
Cure them? No. What I'm saying is, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
I'd examine them for radium necrosis, and then come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Pyorrhea, say. Most cases will end in natural death anyways, and the rest you can put off till the statute of limitations kicks in. Then, it'll be too late to sue.
You would persuade them that they haven't got a case against the company.
Exactly. And if it were to come to court, I could testify and claim it was some other problem, and it'd be a strong testimony from the dentist who had examined them.
And what makes you so sure that all these girls will come to you?
They'll come quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'd be paying you.
Exactly right. We understand each other, Mr. Reader.
Just what exactly are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I'd need about $10,000 for my services thus far, and for every girl I'd agree to see. And $2 for every visit, and obviously expenses for x-rays. I am suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it ain't in writing.
No.
All right, we can put it into writing.
No, your proposal is immoral and will have nothing to do with it.
You're a fine one to be talking about more.
Mr. Lee,
when you have your own hired guns ready to testify.
Those are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses. Paid lackeys is more like it. And trust me, none of them's got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you will play ball with me. Because believe me, there are others who want this information.
You're threatening me.
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader. I'm looking out for my interests the same way you look out for yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neff to the door.
All right, fine. You don't want to play ball? So be it. But believe me when I say that when this all shakes out, it won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements on what happened here this morning. Then we'll send it to the State Dental Society, and Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who is not.
An excellent idea. I don't know. We shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
What do you mean?
We're in a very tight situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says you're having trouble getting girls to work here.
Yes, and we've lost some contracts because of it.
And it's going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about those girls.
Making them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put up?
Other than to say we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider. It certainly wouldn't hurt to have the dentist who treated those girls testify for us.
Neff could be very helpful to us. We should retain him.
Retain him? As what? An extortionist?
As an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn.
Dr. Flynn is a highly respected professor at Columbia University. Neff is some neighborhood dentist.
But didn't Dr. Flynn treat some of those girls?
He didn't treat them. He consulted with them.
He dispensed medical advice, Arthur.
It was not medical advice. It was a scientific opinion, an expert's opinion.
All right. How about this? We retain Neff, but we don't put him on the stand, just to keep him from testifying for the women.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, I agree. That is the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that, Mr. Reader?
Mr. Reader.
Mr. Reader.
Edward, we cannot possibly do this. We can't get into bed with a man like Neff.
Arthur's right. We don't want to do business with Neff.
We need to take steps. He could hurt us.
Neff has already given us everything we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for a postponement.
months. 3 months to study an X-ray. It's outrageous. And the girls, did you see the girls? Their eyes were like saucers looking at me, terrified.
Miss Barry.
How are they going to hold out 3 more months? Catherine Shobe could barely make it into the courtroom today. And Grace, she was trying so hard not to cry. And of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls, get some rest. That's the best I can do. Get some rest.
You're doing wonderfully, Miss Barry. It's a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Markley. And Reader, how can he play this kind of game with those poor girls sitting right there?
Maybe this will help explain. I received a letter.
You'd think the company would be eager to take care of this, with the kind of publicity this has gotten. But Markley seems to enjoy the sport of it. What he can get away with. It's cold. Very cold.
Miss Barry.
What's this?
It's from Catherine Drinker, Mrs. Cecil Drinker of Harvard. She's an industrial hygienist as well. She worked with Dr. Drinker on his study of the radium plant. It was a joint effort, actually.
That's very interesting, Miss Wiley, but we've already seen this document. There's nothing in it to help us.
We've only seen part of it. This is the complete report. I received it this morning. Mrs. Drinker has been following our story very closely in the papers, and she was particularly disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger, the one where Mr. Lee says her study clears the company.
He doctored the report. Reader doctored the report.
Apparently, he pulled out one page listing the blood conditions of a dozen employees and passed it off as the whole thing. Doesn't look so bad on its own, does it? But in context, it's a somewhat different picture.
We can use this.
Yes, it should impress the judge.
The judge? Miss Wiley, I am not going to wait 3 months to make use of this. I want you to call that contact you have with the New York World. If Reader won't let us present our evidence in the courtroom, then he can read about it in the newspaper.
January 12th, 1928. Jack Youngwood reporting for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the Graphic.
Radium girls go to court today.
Radium girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor, injured girls face pain,
disfigurement,
ruin,
and death. And as the clock ticks away the precious moments,
a hearing begins in Chancery Court,
where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement,
while plaintiff's attorney Rachel Bering makes a shocking disclosure,
showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor,
showing that it distorted the results of the Harvard study,
concealing the ill effects of its product.
Read all about it in the Ledger.
Read about it in the Graphic. We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
I make a point not to these days.
If only other people would do the same. Mrs. Mitchell, from across the street, she walked right past me this morning, didn't say a word to me. And I know she saw me. And the women at the market and the greengrocer, the way that they glanced at each other. At the club, Mrs. Middleton and the other ladies, the whispers.
Why don't you put that away? Read the journal. I saw it here the other day. Why don't you read that?
At the club today, someone actually had the nerve to say to me, "Is it true?" "Is it true?" she said. "Did your husband poison those women?" I said, "Mrs. Cowles, if you think that it's true, why would you speak to me at all? I certainly would not associate with a woman whose husband did such things."
Why do you go there then? If that's the way the people are.
I've been a member for years.
What do you want me to say, Diane? I knew we were poisoning people, but we didn't want to stop because we were making too much money. Is that what you want me to say?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Or especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sakes, Diane, don't you see what's going on? It's Von Sashaki. He's behind all this. He's jealous of our success and feeding information to the Consumers League so they can railroad us.
Why would the Consumers League?
Bunch of radical women. Half of them are Reds, probably, socialists. Same thing with that club you belong to.
I can't, I'm sorry.
You women think that you can go around and fix the world's problems while your husbands go out and make a living. You are going to quit that club.
Quit the club?
Stop talking to that idiot Mrs. Middleton.
You are not
She
making
doesn't
any
know
sense.
anything. None of those women know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I didn't agree with Drinko's results.
Arthur.
I have a fiduciary duty
I
to the
can't
company.
listen to this.
Diane, I have documents. I have articles. People with tumors the size of baseballs, radium therapy. The tumors disappeared, Diane.
I'm tired. Going inside.
We save lives. We make lives better. Mild radium therapy invigorates. You can't really think I'm a liar, Diane. You can't really think I would set out to poison people, can you?
No.
Do you think I would ever do anything to hurt you or to hurt Harry?
Certainly not.
Then?
13 girls have died.
People die every day. The newspapers are full of death notices. Young, old, infants, children younger than Harriet die every day.
But they worked for you.
They also worked other places, Diane. I have a report from Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene, who says that there is no connection between our plant and those illnesses. Would you like to see the report?
Then what could the cause be?
I don't know, Diane. I really don't know. I've done everything I could to find out. I just don't know. No one knows. Please say you believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie.
You remember the day I told my father I wasn't going into the ministry? What you said to me then?
You can do as much good in a boardroom as you can in a church.
You remember?
Think I would forget?
God, I was such a scared kid. And he was an icon, if it weren't for you. I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have already. I know you would have.
And ever since then, he's been searching for signs. Signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? You don't think that my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
We save lives, Diane.
You save lives.
Everything I do, it's all for you. It's always been.
I know.
Arthur!
Ah, Charlie.
I just
For
got
goodness sakes.
I just got off the telephone with someone from the ledger.
This couldn't wait until the morning.
I'm sorry, good evening.
Mr. Lee?
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
That's not possible. I saw him just last week.
They were here a month ago for cards. He was just here.
Martlin's already done the autopsy. He says that it's a severe anemia.
He's blaming the radium.
The ledger's planning to run it on page 1. I told the reporter that we would issue a statement at 8 o'clock. That's when he needs it, so it can run tomorrow.
When are the services?
Sorry?
The services.
I don't know.
We'll send flowers, Diane.
Of course, I'll call Louise.
Yes, call Louise.
Or Louise, we should go and see her right now.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter from the ledger told me. She's filing a wrongful death action. I've worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently in decline.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course or sailing or their garden. Artie, he kept a beautiful garden.
We'll handle this in the morning, Charlie.
Of course. Sorry to bring you the bad news. Miss Reader, good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. I don't know what we'll say, but we have to say something. The stockholders will expect it.
It's all right, Artie.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It's all right. You needn't explain. Going to throw this away now.
There's half a case under the sink.
Get rid of that too. We'll have no more of it in the house.
I'll do it. Diane, I'm really in too far to quit.
Really didn't expect you to.
February 21st, 1928. From Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner, Essex County, to Miss Rachel Berry. We have studied the remains of the deceased Amalia Maggia and discovered the following. Radioactive substances have been found in large quantities in the upper jaw, lower jaw, and lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis has been found.
Bodies radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Wiley of Consumers League declares new evidence shows company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has turned over portions of the jawbone that he removed from her mouth. This x-ray film shows that the bone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No, this gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the U.S. Radium Corporation broke his long-standing silence with this shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Dr. von Shashaki, is it true that you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah, and given my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Maggia absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
Doctor, what does this say for mild radium therapy? Are you now advising against it?
Radium is responsible for the deaths of these girls. It should be considered a most dangerous substance.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis that the radium girls only have a year to live?
From what I've seen, they'll be lucky to last that long.
I'll tell you what we should have done. We should have took that reporter up on her offer when we had the chance. That's what we should have done.
$5,000. Don't make me laugh.
We should have talked her up, too. Because I'll tell you what, they'd have paid. And I'll tell you what else we should have done.
Stop telling me what we should have done. Okay, lots of things we should have done. It don't do no good to talk about them now.
All right, keep your shirt on.
What do you think? The pink or the blue?
So what's Barry say? She gonna go back to the company?
I like the pink, but it don't fit too good these days.
Is she gonna try and talk up the company a bit?
Miss Wiley thinks another interview will do the trick, so I say, what's one more, you know?
Yeah, it's worth a try, don't you think? What if they came up to 5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up. I'm not caving.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement. It's just a way for them to hide.
Let them hide.
Then they win.
So they win. They're gonna win anyway.
Nice you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake, you got one lawyer working for nothing up against 6 lawyers who are getting a bundle. And you think you got a chance?
You know what I found out today? They put lead screens in the laboratory for the technicians. Did they give us lead screens? What do you think? 100 girls in a room, and they're going to spend that kind of money on us.
Grace.
And they want to keep it all quiet. And Miss Wiley says that they're going to close down here and move across the river to New York like nothing ever happened.
What are we doing here, Grace? I thought the idea was you'd get some money to settle your debts, get a better doctor, and we'd move on with things.
Move on with things?
You're still wearing my ring.
Tommy.
Grace, there's a house for sale up in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It's already got flowered wallpaper. And best of all, it's only 3 blocks from the school.
The school? What do we need with a school?
Plan ahead for once.
Ugh, Tommy. What do you think is going to happen after all this is over? Do you think everything's just going to go back to the way it was?
Why wouldn't it?
I got to see the surgeon again.
Uh-huh.
I got some fluid, and he's going to drain it.
Okay.
And then he says there'll be more.
So we deal with it when it comes.
And still more. And then more, and still more. Why can't you see that? How can you talk about buying houses and getting married when you know that there's nothing that's...
Grace, I can't think about that. I just want for us to be together now. I want to come home to you at night. My wife, my home. I'm too old to be living this in-between life. I promise, Grace, I'll do whatever it takes to make it easy for you.
Here.
No, Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
No, I don't want to.
Tommy.
No, you're not getting enough sleep. That's all. I'll be back to see you tomorrow. You're not getting enough sleep.
Tommy.
You get some sleep.
Tommy, don't do this to me. Tommy!
Arthur.
Charlie.
Aren't you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're taking the wrong approach here. We have to settle this case. We should make a reasonable offer to those girls.
No, Arthur, we'd agreed. We need a definitive victory, otherwise we invite more of the same nonsense.
Things have changed.
Arthur, I know you and Dan were close, but you cannot let that cloud your judgment.
Von Sashaki is going to testify.
We can deal with him.
How?
Put more money in his pocket.
Now you want to bribe him?
Not a bribe, consideration.
Consideration.
For an expert witness. Whatever Barry's paying him will just make a better offer.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
Let me tell you something, Charlie. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. What Von Sashaki wants is to be free. That's why he's testifying for the girls. Why he will never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you'll have to settle with all the rest. Neff was right about that. This is just the beginning.
Tell Markley to get in touch with Barry. Get the conversation going. Come up with a figure the girls can accept.
Arthur, for God's sake, what are you trying to do to me? You want to wipe me out?
We've got to get this off the table.
Every penny I put in the last 7 years, I have sunk into this company. Why? Because of you. Because you said that it would be a sure thing. No miss. Why work for Von Sashaki when we can work for ourselves? Remember that one? Take a chance, Charlie. Take a chance.
We were fooled, Charlie. Von Sashaki fooled us all. The only thing to do now is to try and clean up the mess.
Do this, and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down.
Not me. Well, don't you know? They are one vote away from getting rid of you.
And whose vote is that, Charlie?
Arthur, have you so little faith in me?
I'll still be a stockholder. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I will still be on the board.
And still on the hook if this company goes under. Think about that next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15th, 1928. To Rachel Berry, attorney at law from Edward Markley, counsel, U.S. Radium. One of our key witnesses has encountered a serious scheduling conflict, which makes it impossible for him to testify in April. We have therefore requested an extension until June. As for your request for a settlement, well, every case involves some humanitarian aspect. Therefore, I'm afraid that cannot be the basis for settling this one. But I have no doubt you'll be rewarded for the good work you're doing. If not in this world, then in the next.
Tommy, please.
Rise and shine!
Madam Curie?
Time for work!
Am I late? I set the alarm.
We have 500 dials to beat before breakfast. Up, up, up. It's all for the war effort.
Please, I'm so very tired.
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
But I'm dying.
And who isn't? Get up, Grace!
Irene?
Get up, sleepyhead. You'll never make quota like this.
But it isn't fair. I'm only 26. I should be married, have my own home, my own children.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
I know I did.
But why? Why do we have to make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace.
Science, family, every life is sacrificed to something. Just a matter of choosing which.
I didn't choose. I didn't have no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine, don't do that. Catherine?
Oh, now look what you did, Grace. She's bleeding all over the dials.
Oh, I'm sorry, Catherine. I guess I shouldn't have said anything.
No problem. What's one more dead dial painter?
Grace?
Mom?
Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing the papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She said she might come by. Did she come by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it. Look, Grace, you gotta get ready.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear, I know. After you talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over there and see how she is. Now, put a comb through your hair.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage, Grace.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500. It's not even a year's wages.
It's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart, but we gotta be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never get inside that courtroom. And even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Miss Barry thinks we can.
Miss Barry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor and the bank and the coal man. You can't expect folks to treat us like charity just because you're sick.
I'm not asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down, but if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. Now, we'll take that check and pay the bills, and whatever's left, you and Tom can have. A little something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Ma.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Please don't.
Can't you see he just can't face the thought of you not being with us?
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? Why, I can't imagine. No point to it. Ma, you didn't say I had mail. Huh, New Mexico. They just keep writing. She was here. Ma, Miss Wiley was here. She was here this morning. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma said you brought papers.
Yes, the term spelled out as we explained in the letter. $1,500 to you. I've got a check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in triplicate.
Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
Oh, no, please. Take your time. Look it over carefully. If you prefer, I could leave it here and come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless from any further action.
No more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about it being confidential.
That's standard for most legal settlements, Miss Fryer. We like to protect our privacy, and your privacy also. It cuts both ways. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the settlement, and so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the settlement to you.
Ma,
I don't mind.
what's contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? It's not in that one. It was in them other papers that you filed when we did the lawsuit. The Radium plant said its defense is the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense, Miss Fryer. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. Maybe you could leave the papers.
Maybe he could just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley was here?
You had already made up your mind. She'd only try to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, if you could leave the papers, Grace will
Ma,
sign them later.
What did she say about
Catherine?
Catherine?
She said, it don't look good.
Perhaps I should come back later when Miss Fryer is feeling better.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I'd really like an answer. Because let me tell you, I quit school when I was 15. I went to work at the Radium plant because my folks needed the money. At your factory, they told us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I did what I was told. I never asked questions. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There is nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret your situation, Miss Fryer, but there is no evidence to tie your condition to any actions by the U.S. Radium Corporation.
Then why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian gesture.
Mr. Markley, I'll take them papers.
Month after month you put us off. Delay after delay, knowing how sick we were, how tired and desperate. Humanitarian? You're waiting for us to die.
Grace, please, stop this now.
Ma, one by one, I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way. And you think I should be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Miss Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances, and I advise you take it because it won't be on the table for very long.
What does that mean?
If Miss Fryer does not sign within 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer permanently.
Grace.
He's lying.
I beg your pardon?
You're trying to tell me that if I don't sign these now, but I came back a week from now saying that I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court? You'd still rather some judge get a look at me and take your chances I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours. You're just trying to bully me.
Very well then, Miss Fryer, we'll take that for a no. And we'll see you in court.
Yes, you will. You will see me. If they have to carry me in there, you will see me. You and Mr. Reader both.
You call that man back.
I'm going to court, Mom.
What are you trying to prove? You know you can't win.
I want those people to look at me. I want them to look at me and explain how it's my fault I got sick working in their factory.
And what will that get you? What?
Ma, all my life I've done what other people told me to do. I quit school because you said I should. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said I should. I never said, please, can I finish school? I never said I don't like the taste of this paint. I never argued. Even though I knew something wasn't right. At night, I'd lie awake and I'd see my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow. My shoes on the floor, my hairbrush and comb on the dresser. So much light, Ma, so much light. And I never once questioned. I never even asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they were counting on.
Arthur, so it is you making all of this noise.
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got the messages.
As we are no longer in business together, I thought it best not to respond.
Is that what this is about?
Perhaps you should have some tea.
You never told me the paint was dangerous. You never said a word about it. Not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know? You invented the paint and you didn't know? How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should put you through that wall.
Perhaps you should, but you will not. You will sit down, you will have some tea, and you will calm yourself.
No, I was not the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yeah, I was the technical man. Sit down, Arthur.
I sold watches, for Christ's sake. I was a salesman.
A good one, at that. A very good head for the business you have. Not such a good head for the science, but for the business. Very smart. Always you could find ways to cut costs without losing its quality. So that's a gift, Arthur. Now, why don't you have some tea?
Jesus Christ. What's the matter with your hands?
It's been that way for some time.
Have you been dipping them in ink?
Dipping some in ink. How fond of the pretty story you are. If only it were ink. No. Dr. Martland tells me it's a necrosis of the tissue. The cells. They are dying. With the dial painters in the jaw it started, the necrosis. With me, in the hands.
I had no idea.
No reason why you should. It's been a long time since I've seen you. But I've
how
known
long?
for a while. Miss Wiley from the Consumers League persuaded me to assist Dr. Martland in testing the dial painters for radium exposure. There aren't that many people around, you know, who can test for that kind of thing. I didn't want to believe her either, Arthur. I didn't want to believe that the girls could get sick from working with my paint. I wanted to show her it was a mistake, so I agreed to help. Dr. Martland and I conducted expired air tests on the girls. It was then that I found out that my own breath registered radioactive. Then my fingers began to turn black. Now, you wish to have words with me?
I'm sorry.
Perhaps you should make an appointment yourself with Dr. Martland.
What for?
Arthur, you did not notice the glowing dust on your shoes when you went home at night?
How could I miss it? I tracked it all over the house.
You can be sure that a good deal of it is now in your lungs. Look familiar?
It's our promotional piece.
An excellent promotional piece. How many sales did that book account for?
I didn't track it exactly. I think it helped our medical market quite a bit.
Page 96.
What?
Open it. It's the last chapter. Read it to me.
Radium. Dangerous effects.
Dangerous effects. How many articles are listed there? 10? 15?
About 18, it looks like.
And how far back does those articles go?
I have no idea.
Look at it. It's the first one. Read it to me. What is the date?
1906.
1906. Now, let me see. When you go into court, you plan to testify that you had no idea that radium was dangerous? How do you plan to do that, officer? When your own book says that it was, how can you claim that you had no idea?
I never really read it.
What's that?
I never really read it. I just glanced at the galleries. I never read the full book.
How do you mean you never read the book?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for its content.
Which you never read.
I think you will find, Miss Berry, that very few company presidents read their own promotions word for word.
It has your name on it. You authorized the book's release, and you had final approval of the content.
Mr. Lee was in charge of our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those activities to him.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918.
Yes, as the plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
4 years.
During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. So you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes on their lips.
I don't recall it.
You're saying you went into the studio every day, and you never saw a single girl put a brush to her mouth.
I said I don't recall it.
You don't recall it. What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory.
Objection.
I withdraw. No more questions.
You're a witness, Mr. Markley.
We have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Markley, Ms. Berry, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
Your Honor, we've yet to present our defense.
I realize that, Mr. Markley, but this proceeding is to determine standing. Now, I've heard enough these past 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their systems. Nothing your witnesses can say will change that fact, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the danger.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I ask that the defense rest without calling any witnesses. We can conclude this hearing today and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule that the statute of limitations has not been exhausted and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I have a very busy schedule with 2 other cases pending, and a key client of mine will not be available until the end of summer. We can't be available until September.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but our chief expert witness is involved with an institution of higher learning. This is the busiest time of year for him, and I can't expect him to appear.
Mr. Markley is responsible for that situation. He is the one who has demanded continuous delays.
Your Honor, we just agreed to waive our rights to present witnesses at this hearing. Surely you will not force us to make our defense without the presence of our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. Trial is set for September. This hearing is adjourned.
Edward, why can't Flynn appear?
He's going to Europe.
Europe? But he's known about this for months. Why would he? Oh, very clever, Edward. How long do you plan to keep this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley?
Ah, Ms. Berry. Congratulations. I never believed the court would go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. One is so ill she can't appear in court.
My client has a right to his defense.
We will not wait until September. I promise you that. One way or another, we will find room on the docket. And your expert witness be damned.
That girl is staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal. That I planned this somehow. How do I make her understand that I did not want this to happen?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
She looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death, Arthur.
Grace. That man, Miss Wiley, he won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me like I'm not even here.
It doesn't matter, Grace. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Jack Youngwood for the Ledger.
Rachel Berry seeks trial date for early summer.
As U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the Ledger, your first source for news.
The U.S. Radium Corporation also agrees to pay the medical expenses of each of the girls for the remainder of her life. The girls have also agreed to submit a periodic examination by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement?
Is it an admission of responsibility?
What about other pending cases?
It was purely for humanitarian reasons that the U.S. Radium Corporation agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
The U.S. Radium Corporation is pleased to have brought this lengthy litigation to a close and looks forward to many more years of serving its customers and community. And that is C.B. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey Consumers League. Our press statement.
Were you pleased with the outcome, Miss Wiley?
Finally, these girls have received some compensation for their suffering. But, more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Thanks, Miss Wiley.
That spelling, by the way, is Catherine with a K and Wiley with one L.
Well, Edward, it looks like we're back in business.
What's your game plan?
Didn't I tell you? I found a buyer for the tailings that have been piling up behind the building on Alden Street.
Oh?
Some contractor in Montclair needs a little infill.
That's perfect.
Now, Catherine, we can't see your name. There, that's better. Well, Catherine, I brought my watercolors today. It's a beautiful day, too. The trees are starting to turn, but it's still warm. Too warm for a sweater. Not much of a breeze. A fine day to paint.
Thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
It's quiet up here.
Yep,
Well, I guess if you can rest in peace, this is the place to do it, huh?
I guess it is.
What do you call that?
Watercolors. I'm pretty weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, it's good, Grace. It's nice.
First thing I got with the settlement money was some paints. I got some oils, too.
Big spender.
Then I bought a car.
I didn't know you knew how to drive.
I can't. My brother's going to teach me. He drove me up here today.
Grace, if you want to learn how to drive, I'd teach you.
You got other stuff to do now, Tommy.
You know about that.
Tommy, Orange just isn't that big.
I meant to tell you myself, Grace. That's why I came out here.
Tommy, it's all right. I'm happy for you. For the both of you.
No hard feelings, then?
Tommy, you think I have time for that?
I'm glad everything worked out for you, Grace. Are you glad? I mean, you don't think you backed down too soon, do you?
We didn't back down. They backed down.
Papa?
Was over here.
Not this again.
This is where I saw her that last time.
This is morbid, Papa.
I stood there a long time. She didn't notice me at first, but then something made her look up.
Oh, my.
No wonder Mom won't come for drives with you anymore. If this is how you spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me, so I looked away.
Just like at the courthouse that day. He can't bring himself to look at me.
You need to find another hobby. Retirement isn't good for you.
My heart started pounding, Harriet. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance. And suddenly there she was. And I had the chance.
So what'd you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's as if he's afraid to look at me.
I had my chance, but I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me.
Oh, Papa, that was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it? It's not like it was your fault. People didn't know about things like that then. Science just wasn't as advanced, the way it is now.
I think back on those days, and I try to think, how could it have happened? I remember so clearly climbing the stairs to that studio on Alden Street. At the top of those stairs, those wide, high windows, and the slant of the light, the way the light hit the floor, and the way the floor creaked when I walked on And the smell of the place. Chalky, really, like an old schoolroom. And all those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to the task in their plain green smocks, their delicate little hands moving so quickly. No man could work the way that those girls did. So careful, so fast. Their brushes flying from the dials to the paint, to the dials, to their lips. Now try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, I cannot remember their faces. I never saw their faces.